G'day legends. Have you ever been working on a project, you're mixing the vocals, everything is fine and dandy, until you add the de-esser, and then everything starts to fall apart because the de-esser starts to make the vocals sound kind of muffled, and then when you back it off, you're not achieving as much de-essing as you need, and then even when you do feel like you've dialed it in, it still misses some parts of the sibilance, and it sort of jumps through and still sounds harsh in places. It can be really hard trying to get a de-esser to do what you want it to do. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes you just put it on there and it works and it's not a problem. Other times the vocalist and the de-esser do not agree with each other. And now I have a bunch of de-esser plugins. You know, I've got all the stuff from Slate Digital. I've got Wave stuff. I've got the Black Salt Audio de-esser. I've got the SSL de-esser. Like, you know, every de-esser plugin that you kind of think of is there. You know, resonance suppressing plugins, like all of that stuff. Like I play around with whatever I need to get the job done. But sometimes it just doesn't work. And what I want to show you here is probably the best way to de-ess vocals. And it's what I used to do when I first started mixing. But the problem is it's the longest way to de-ess vocals. It's kind of tedious, takes a bit of time, but the results are really good and you have complete control over every bit of sibilance. And best of all, it doesn't affect the tone of the vocal in any way. And before we go any further, I just want to let you guys know that I am running a sale right now on my store. If you want to help support this channel, then you can go and pick up a drum sample pack, a mixing course, a template. Any of that stuff right now is 40% off on my store. This is basically like the big sale of the year kind of thing. Nothing's going to be any better than this throughout the year. So if you want to grab a sweet deal, then check out that link in the description below. And that's also just a great way of supporting this channel. So with that said, let's check this vocal out and I'll show you the problem I'm having and I'll show you the fix. So we're just going to repeat this line here. You're probably going to get sick of hearing it, but just to give you an example of what's going on here. Have a listen to this. This is without a de-esser.
I love the smell of birthday candles.
Okay, so that S right there.
I love the smell of
the smell, and it's like really harsh, right? So now that you know what we're listening for, let me play you these back to back. I'll play you without the de-esser, and then I'll play you what I've done to clean this up, and then I'll play you with a de-esser so you can hear what it's doing to that S.
I love the smell of birthday candles. I love the smell of birthday candles. I love the smell of birthday candles. I love the smell of birthday candles.
So hopefully you could hear what was going on there. Now obviously without the de-esser, that S just rips through very loud. And then with the method that I'm about to show you, it was just very tame, like just sounded smooth. No big volume jump, but no real tonal change either. The one with the de-esser plugin on it, this one here, it sounded kind of muffled. It had this weird sound about it. The S didn't sound natural to me at all.
I love the smell of birthday.
Like you can hear on that S, it's just like it's being sucked down, but it's not just like the S gets quieter. The vocal sounds muffled and odd. Now the plugin I was using to do this is ProMB, and I use this a lot for de-essing. It's a great de-esser plugin. It's a multi-band compressor, which is basically all that de-essers are. And it's just fast attack, fast release. You set the frequency range, and when those S's hit, it ducks it down. You know, it looks like this.
I love the smell of birthday candles.
Okay? But it just doesn't sound right to me. So I tried a couple of de-essers, and the one that I landed upon that I thought was the best was the SSL de-ess for this song in particular. It's not like this is the best de-esser ever, but it worked well on Chelsea's vocals. Have a listen to this.
I love the smell of birthday candles. I love the smell of birthday candles. I love the smell of birthday candles.
So a definite improvement, but that S is still a little too loud for my liking. I would like that tucked in just a little bit more. Now look what happens when we push the threshold down enough to kind of achieve that. This is showing you where all the de-essing is taking place. So any of these highlighted parts is being processed by the de-esser, and it's attacking this range here between kind of 3K and 8K. Have a look what happens to the vocal now that we've pulled the threshold down to try and hit it a bit harder.
I love the smell of birthday candles.
it's affecting way more than just the S's now. It's getting everything. So that's not great because that is actually dulling down the presence in the vocal.
I love the smell of birthday candles.
So we start to lose the clarity. It sounded better where it was before, but that S is too loud.
I love the smell of birthday candles.
Now this vocal has been processed. We've got some EQ on there. We're making it nice and bright and airy and poppy, but that does bring out the sibilance, and that's why we need to rein that in. And that's why this is such a problem too, is because we want the vocal to have that bright, airy top end, but it does create this issue for us. And what you could do, I know some people are probably going to comment this, is you could automate the threshold, right? So anytime that there's an S, you need to push a bit harder. You could automate this down just on the sibilance and then bring it back up to that sweet spot. That's cool. You could definitely do that, and you probably get some pretty good results doing that stuff too. But the amount of work then that goes into that is pretty similar to what I'm about to show you. And what I'm going to show you doesn't involve a de-esser at all. You're going to do this all manually. So check this out. All I've got here is just some volume automation to deal with the de-essing. I know, basic as, but the thing with this is it doesn't affect the tone. It's literally just the volume of the S. And that's all we want to do, is we want to pull that down. We don't want to change the sound of the vocal. If it's a high pitched kind of S sound, it's not going to matter once you get it to the right point. It matters if you kind of suck the life out of that and then it sounds unnatural. So have a listen to this.
I love the smell of birthday candles. I love the smell of birthday candles. I love the smell of birthday candles.
So that's literally the only difference between those two tracks is the volume automation. So you see all of these are ducked to different amounts because that's where I felt they sounded the best and the most balanced. And if I'm listening along and I feel like something's still too loud or I've lost an S or a T, I can just come in here and start bringing it up until it's just right. Now you might look at that and go, geez, that looks painful to do. And it's actually not that bad. I'm using the marquee tool in Logic as my secondary tool. So I have that selected and then literally, look, you can delete these ones. I just go through, hold down Command, highlight the section that I'm going to de-ess, and then I'll just click and drag down. And so pretty simple. You just go through, highlight these sections, click and drag down, and then you can set that level of de-essing.
I love the smell of birthday.
Might want that a bit lower.
I love the smell of birthday candles.
Sounds good to me. That's pretty much all there is to it, but obviously you've got to go through the whole song and you have to do all the vocals and you've got to go through and find all the S's and all the sibilance and all the stuff that's jumping out. And so you can see I've done that for all of the lead vocals, but I have kept de-esser plugins on all of the backing vocals because I don't have time to go to that level, and with backing vocals, it doesn't matter as much. It's about the clarity of that lead vocal and not affecting the tone in any way where you go, that sounds kind of weird and unnatural. So let's compare another section.
Oh, I'm 20-something. Oh, I'm 20-something. Oh, I'm 20-something.
So super smooth, doesn't sound weird in any way. So you can see this is a really good method for de-essing vocals, but it's tedious and it takes time. It's not just a quick fix, which is what we're looking for. We always want the plugin that can do it immediately. We always want to know the method that gets it done straight away. And unfortunately, with some things, sometimes you have to put in the tedious work to get the best results. And like I said, sometimes de-essers work and they're great. Other times you might need to go and do something like this and keep it sounding the best that it possibly can. Now, another little tip here though, you don't have to do this on the actual fader like I've done here. I've done this at the end of the chain on the volume automation. So, you might find that annoying if you kind of want to be able to do some more volume rides later and stuff with your fader. So if you want that, this is not the place to do it. But basically all you need to do is load up Logic's gain plugin. You can put this at the end of the chain. You can put it at the start of your chain. Wherever you want to apply your de-essing, this is where you can put this, and this would be your de-esser plugin. And then basically all we're going to do is do some automation with the gain. So this is just basically volume. So if we come into our automation, come down to gain and click on that. Now we can do the exact same thing. We can come through and look at our vocal, find all of the bits of sibilance, and then we can start applying these little gain drops, our bit of de-essing. So you can see that. Now you can see this is pretty dramatic. You can go all the way down to like minus 100 or whatever. So just be careful with it. Up here is already around minus 6 dBs, so you might only need kind of around that. And it's just the same thing, but this is now just a plugin in your chain, and it's not actually on the fader like I have here. So kind of two different ways of going about it, and you'll get the same result.
Oh, I'm 20 something. Oh, I'm 20 something. Oh, I'm 20 something.
So you can see it does the exact same thing, but now it's just going to be a plugin in your chain. I'd actually recommend that's probably the better way of doing this. So if you have trouble with de-essers, like you just feel like you don't connect with them, try something like this out, because I think you'll find these give you a really good natural result. I know that I have never loved de-essers, like even showing you like that SSL de-esser sounds pretty good, but I still can't get it to do exactly what I want it to do. Whereas I know if I just go through and spend like 15 minutes or whatever doing this automation, that it's going to be pretty much dialed in just right. And if not, it's just a matter of like finding those bits that are like jumping out and tweaking those, because you have total control over every bit of sibilance when you do it that way. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you think that there is an awesome de-esser plugin out there that I should check out, then drop it in the comments below. Let everyone know what you use and what you think works really well. So thanks for watching, guys. If you want to support this channel, check out that link in the description below. Head over to my website, check out my range of drum sample packs, mixing courses, and any templates over there. Grabbing that stuff is a huge support for the time that goes into making videos on this channel. If you're keen to sit in with me and mix a song from start to finish, then check out this next video coming out where we're going to take an indie rock song and we're going to take it from raw tracks to a finished mix.